Deep in Wild Zambia, the predator's territory, where nothing is forgiven. Tell us where you are watching from before we step into the most brutal battle for survival. Lion versus hippo. From May to October, rainfall in the valley drops close to zero. The isolated pools dry out first, and every species is forced to gather at the one stretch of river that remains. The frequency of encounters between hunter and hunted rises with it. And every encounter now happens within sight of a third species. Midday temperatures in the valley can reach 45 degrees Celsius. So most activity compresses into the two ends of the day. Under those conditions, a lone lion loses its greatest weapon, which is surprise. That is why some adult male lions, normally direct rivals, choose to travel together through the dry season. But a coalition is only worth its cost when it aims at something a single animal could never reach. An adult hippo weighs around 3 tons, more than 10 times a male lion. Its hide reaches 6 centimeters thick across the back and shoulders, enough to spread the force of almost any strike. The hippo is not a carnivore, and yet the hippo causes more dangerous encounters than any other large mammal in Africa. A hippo does not need to hunt to be dangerous. It only needs to defend the water it is standing in. A pod of hippos can hold the same stretch of river across generations. and that boundary is maintained by collision. For that reason, across most savanna systems, the hippo sits almost entirely outside the menu of any other species. The strength of a coalition is not its combined weight. It is that their target cannot strike all of them at once. A hippo that stays out of the water too long loses its greatest advantage. On land, that thick hide becomes a burden instead of armor. In most lion prides, the adult male eats first and eats alone. Four males feeding together is therefore a rare exception, and it appears only when the reward is large enough that none of them has to compete for a share. But does control of the water here belong to the lions, or still to the species lying on the far bank? The answer comes later, at a different stretch of river, under conditions completely reversed. Far from there, in Zambia's South Luangwa Valley, another lion pride enters the same dry season with a completely different structure. Here, there are no four males moving together. Only one adult male remains with the pride. A pride down to a single adult male is a pride with no reserve lair. Most of the hunting falls to the lionesses, and the success rate of a single stalk is usually around 2 in 10. That ratio sets the rhythm of the whole pride. The lionesses must range farther, stay out longer, and go more often than at any other time of year. That leaves a gap. During those hours, the only protection the cubs have is not being found, and the dry season takes that away. As the grass drops lower and every species can see farther, the cubs move closer to the water's edge. The riverbank holds the densest concentration of danger in the valley. A Nile crocodile can go months without feeding. It does not need to search for prey. It only needs to choose the one place prey is forced to return to. In the dry season, the number of such places falls to a handful along an entire stretch of river. So every species in Lowa learns the same lesson, which is to drink fast and leave early. In another stretch of South Uangwa's waters, a mother hippo keeps her calf under her wing. She stays on her toes, as crocodiles frequently linger near this area. Hippos are often seen as gentle herbivores. In reality, they are among the most perilous wild animals across all of Africa. Their fierce nature goes through the roof whenever their territory or young are threatened. A young lion searches for a meal along the riverbank. He recklessly wades into waters outside his domain. The water's edge is virtually off-limits territory, where even lions know to think twice. A bite from an adult hippo carries enough power to pierce through bone, easily overpowering any predator reckless enough to step into its defensive domain. The young hippo pulls through, thanks to its mother's fierce determination. But along another stretch of the river, the standoff between these two species is far from over. Time is ticking away as the dry season enters its most challenging phase, and the river waters continue to recede. By the end of the dry season, the Luangwa shrinks to a fraction of its wet season width. Sandbanks rise through the surface and split the flow into separate sections. Each remaining section becomes owned ground, and the owner of most of them is the hippo. For land animals, a narrower river means a shorter crossing. But for the pride, it means territory cut in two. And the half on the far side already belongs to another pride. When the cubs end up on the opposite bank, the only way home is back along the same route that carried them across. And that entire route lies under the control of the species that appeared at the start of the dry season. The Luangwa carries one of the highest hippo densities on Earth, with more than 6,000 animals along a single stretch of river. That density changes the behavior of the whole species. When the space is divided this finely, a hippo's tolerance for any movement inside its water falls close to zero. At the same time, the Nile crocodile reads the surface through pressure receptors in the skin of its head, sensitive enough to place a small movement the eye cannot see. A group of cubs wading across produces exactly that signal. At belly depth, a cub loses almost all of its acceleration. The cubs are going to cross, and they will move as one group to cut the chance of a crocodile strike. The mothers are watching every meter. The lionesses on the far bank are ready as well for anything waiting in ambush. And yet, there is still the hippo, sharing this water with Nile crocodiles, was already close to the limit. With lions added to it, the limit is reached. But the anger drains away as the hunters close around it. The hippo gives ground. On land, these females could bring it down. Not every lion pride has ground it can call its own. Some prides live as nomads, moving constantly through the gaps between territories that already have owners. One nomadic pride in the Luangwa carries 12 animals of every age. They are undernourished and they are looking for new territory. 12 mouths set a very different problem from a small pride. To feed 12 efficiently, they have to set their sights on big prey. Big prey means big risk. and that risk climbs with every week they come away with nothing. Late in the dry season, daytime temperatures in the valley climb past 37 degrees Celsius. At that level, thirst becomes a more urgent pressure than hunger. Lions depend on both land and water, exactly like the species holding the stretch of river ahead. They can smell the water from a distance, but to drink, they have to breach the riverbank. But this is hippo country, and everything that passes through must respect the bull's territory. Hippos stay in the water through most of the day because their skin loses moisture very quickly under direct sun. That turns the river into more than a place to drink. It becomes a condition of their survival. Water that is intruded upon is not an inconvenience. It is a direct threat. Hippos are fiercely territorial and notoriously aggressive when defending their patch. An adult bull can weigh 10 times what a male lion weighs. Even lions give them a wide berth. In the Luangwa, where hippo density is among the highest on Earth, that distance barely exists. The same stretch of water also holds Nile crocodiles. For a thirsty pride, that means 2 layers of risk stacked on the same piece of bank. The first lies beneath the surface. The second controls the water itself. The pride stops, but one proud male bows to no one. He moves right up to the edge, alone. The waterline marks the boundary, and to cross it, he had better be primed for battle. A single lion is no match for an enraged hippo. The bull charges to defend his boundary. The male gives ground. Behind him stand 11 others, and not one steps forward in his place. This is the second time this dry season that a hippo has driven back a threat from lions. Last time it was a single young animal. This time it was the front of a pride of 12. That advantage is not a single piece of luck. It repeats often enough to become a rule of this ecosystem. Hippos are also recorded standing against Nile crocodiles to protect their young. Inside their water, no species is exempt. The question raised at the start of the dry season now has enough evidence to answer. The dry season in Luangwa does not end with a victory. It ends with a chain of decisions, each one placing some part of the pride at risk. A coalition aimed at something beyond the reach of one animal. A male chose to leave his position so that the pride's protection would still exist next season. And the lionesses chose to stand when no line of retreat was left. The price of survival inside a pride is not always loss. Most of the time, it is the risk that has to be accepted every time the cubs step out of the shade. This is Bermuda, a solitary rock sitting alone in the middle of the ocean, where there isn't a single drop of fresh water, not a single river, and seemingly devoid of any natural resources, completely surrounded by the vast ocean. This island endures fierce, tempestuous storms ripping in from every direction. Yet Bermuda happens to be one of the lands among the wealthiest in the world. Home to over 60,000 people enjoying a standard of living that ranks among the highest on the planet. Even more surprising, Bermuda's wealth doesn't come from oil, gold, silver, or any mineral resources whatsoever. Instead, it comes from turning those very storms, earthquakes, and major natural events across the globe into a cash cow of an industry worth billions of dollars. So how on earth did Bermuda pull off such a miracle? Usually, when hearing the name Bermuda, most people immediately think of some dreamy tropical island nestled in the Caribbean Sea. But in reality, Bermuda is a British overseas territory, standing alone in the vast North Atlantic, surrounded by endless ocean waters, with virtually no other land anywhere nearby. This archipelago consists of about 7 main islands, along with over 100 smaller islets and scattered rocky outcrops. Yet the total land area of the entire place is barely just over 50 square kilometers. The closest mainland to the island is Cape Hatteras on the east coast of the United States, located about 1,050 kilometers to the west. But that number alone still doesn't tell the whole story of just how isolated this island really is. If you leave Bermuda and head straight east, you would have to cross over 4,800 kilometers of open ocean before touching the coast of Morocco in North Africa. Between those 2 points, there is practically nothing but open water. Howling winds and rolling waves stretching endlessly toward the horizon. There are no neighboring nations to connect with. No major island chains for protection. And naturally, not a single road or bridge that can lead anyone away from here. That makes Bermuda feel like a tiny dot. Deeply isolated in the middle of the ocean. Where every shipment, every traveler, and any connection to the outside world must cross an immense expanse of open sea. Many people often wonder where the name Bermuda came from. And why anyone would choose to settle down on such a lonely rock. The answer lies in a historical event that unfolded back in 1609. Back then, a fierce tempest drove the British ship Sea Venture onto the coral reefs surrounding the island. The survivors made it ashore and were completely stunned. To discover the island had not a single river, not a single lake. And no natural source of fresh water whatsoever. This place was truly just a lonely limestone rock, standing solitary in the boundless ocean. Yet, right from that relentless starting point. Against all odds, one of the most incredible stories of resilience and prosperity in human history officially began. Seen from the outside, Bermuda looks like a charming little paradise. Nestled right in the heart of the Atlantic Ocean, with crystal clear beaches and its signature pristine limestone coastline. Yet, behind that peaceful beauty lies an entire story of a geological journey that shaped the island. It is actually the remaining summit of a giant volcano, submerged deep beneath the seafloor, with its base sitting over 4,300 meters deep below the North Atlantic, formed by a geological hotspot roughly 30 to 35 million years ago. Eventually, that volcano gradually fell dormant, and its remaining peak was endlessly worn down by ocean waves and wind over an eternity of time. Coral reefs slowly grew around the ancient volcanic foundation, combining with seashells, and layers upon layers of sediment build up, alternately forming a limestone cap, nearly 60 meters thick, blanketing the entire island as we see it today. Yet, this gift from the ancient ocean came with a severe geological catch, a challenge tough enough to put human grit to the test. Because it is composed almost entirely of highly porous limestone, Bermuda cannot retain any natural fresh water on its surface. Yet, people still chose to stay. Together, they conquered this lonely rock, turning a land devoid of natural resources into one of the wealthiest island destinations and most luxurious spots on Earth. To understand Bermuda's prosperity, first, we must look at the ocean that wraps around this island. Bermuda lies entirely within the Sargasso Sea, the only sea in the world bound by no land masses at all, instead shaped by 4 giant ocean currents constantly swirling around it. Most important among them is the Gulf Stream, a current carrying warm tropical waters flowing northward, keeping Bermuda's climate significantly warmer than other places sharing the exact same latitude. Thanks to this incredible edge, each of the birds the island boasts a truly miraculous ecosystem, with waters so clear that you can see down nearly 60 meters, alongside resilient coral reefs, thriving further north than anywhere else in the world. But of course, any gift from the ocean comes with its own set of challenges. Standing alone in the heart of the vast Atlantic. Bermuda also lies directly in the path of severe, sweeping storms. Yet those very challenges, when combined with the island's resilient geological foundation, only make Bermuda's remarkable endurance more impressive than ever. Amid the endless deep blue of the Atlantic, Bermuda holds stories that are in a league of their own. Horseshoe Bay Beach, one of Bermuda's most iconic landmarks, is famous for its uniquely vibrant pink sands. In the past, many people assumed this pink hue came from fragments of red coral washed ashore from deep ocean waters. Yet the truth behind it is far more intriguing. That pink tone actually comes from microscopic sea creatures. They carry reddish shells and cling to the coral reefs. When these creatures are eaten by parrotfish, their hard shells get crushed by the fish's jaws into countless tiny fragments, gradually blending with white sand to create the soft pink shade so uniquely characteristic of Bermuda's beaches. But Bermuda's wondrous world doesn't just exist above the waves. There are over 300 shipwrecks resting on the ocean floor surrounding the island, turning this into one of the most famous wreck diving spots in the world. In the past, coral reefs hidden beneath the water, combined with a location right along major shipping lanes, meant many vessels could not navigate these waters with smooth sailing. Now, those vessels that once represented unfinished journeys have become part of the marine ecosystem, where coral creates life and marine creatures find a new home. And while the ocean preserves Bermuda's history, offshore, deep underground, this island conceals a completely different world. Inside Crystal Cave, every step leads visitors away from the sunshine into a space sculpted by nature's patience. Roughly 30,000 years ago, during the last ice age, rainwater slowly seeped through the limestone, carrying minerals to gradually form shimmering, pure white stalactites. Today, glistening crystals, ancient stone pillars, and a crystal-clear underground lake reflecting light have transformed this place into a realm that feels straight out of a fairy tale. In northern Botswana lies one of Africa's greatest mystery. The Savuti Channel does not follow the rain. It follows movements deep beneath the ground. For years, the channel ran full, turning the marsh into a green paradise. Then, the Savuti Channel ran dry. For decades. Every species that stays here must live with that unpredictability. This year, the channel is dry again, and the drought holds. One waterhole remains. It is the center of all life here. And the center of every death. Around it stretches a tightly woven web. At the top of that web sit 4 empires. The Lion Pride, led by Queen Amara. It has held this ground for generations. The Maro clan, famous as scavengers, but in truth misunderstood hunters. The Ember Pack, surviving on its own, by rules of its own making. And Quito, a solitary leopard, the one who always pays each time the other 3 empires collide. But the most dangerous of all may be the one that belongs to no grassland. It was there before the season of thirst began. And it will be there long after the thirst has passed. The days ahead hold only one question. When every territorial border closes in, which species will rule the savanna? Comment on a species before we continue the journey of Amara Pride. Thirst drives Amara's pride off its ancestral ground. The prey has followed the water. To live, the lion pride must follow the prey. For a pride with cubs, this is the most dangerous gamble of all. The Nile crocodile, the oldest predator in this land. Almost unchanged for millions of years. It picks one spot and holds still for hours. Only its eyes above the surface. Waiting patiently for a single mistake. when that mistake arrives. Its V-shaped jaws are among the strongest in the animal world. Nearly 70 teeth built to hold prey and never let go. Queen Amara never takes her eyes off her cub, not for a second. And that vigilance alone drags the cub back from the line between life and death. For lions, fewer than half of all cubs survive their first year. Even where no crocodile jaws wait beneath the water. This river is the first link in a much larger web, where hippos hold the deep water. Crocodiles control the crossings, and every land animal depends on both. In a single morning, it reveals several rules running side by side. The ambusher stays loyal to one stretch of water, while the pride claims ownership through the strength of numbers. One shrinking river, and already more than 2 ways to declare who owns the territory. Dawn belongs to the grazing herds. A single mouthful of water here can cost a life. No animal drinks without lifting its head to watch. Where life gathers thickest, death stands closest. But by midday, the whole waterhole must give way. Elephants are large enough that no predator dares provoke them. Yet they only pass through, leaving the water behind for those who stay to fight over it. Meanwhile, jackals live off the mistakes of others. An entire tiered order turns around one shrinking pool. With every passing day, the water pulls back a little further, and the web draws tighter. Every species registers it, and every species is choosing a side. At the edge of the water, the Ember Pack has guarded this ground longer than any other empire. They have held it as though time itself were on their side. But in a season of thirst, a long history saves no one. Amara's pride is closing in. The African wild dog is the most efficient predator in Africa. Its hunting success rate can reach 80%. Three times the figure for lions. But that success is fragile, because after almost every hunt, part of the prize is stolen by someone else. What truly keeps a wild dog pack alive is its bond, not a line drawn on the ground. The whole pack raises the young, feeding pups that are not their own. And because they need a pack large enough to survive, today, across the entire continent, fewer than 5,000 African wild dogs remain. But this time, the pack's encircling tactic runs into a limit it cannot cross: raw weight. A male lion weighs 5 to 10 times as much as a wild dog. The wild dog pack holds for a moment, then breaks. They are forced off their ancestral ground, carrying a loss that will never be replaced. For a species already on the edge of extinction, losing territory is a long step closer to the end. And this is how the land works as a web. Each time one species shifts, the whole system moves with it. The one that loses ground pushes another aside. And that one pushes into the territory of a third. So what do you think wins? Numbers and tactics? Or the power of a single individual? But the throne the pride just won will not hold until morning. Because in the dark, a third empire is already moving in. Night swallows the thirsting kingdom whole. Quito lives a solitary life. hunting alone, eating alone, then dissolving into the dark before dawn arrives. The leopard is the best climber among the big cats. Strong enough to haul a kill high into a tree where no other claws can reach it. But the price of a solitary life is this: the kill gets stolen by lions and by hyenas alike. And so, for the leopard, survival means vanishing before it is ever seen. A new queen has arrived. But this territory has never been easy to rule. Even the prey here is strong enough to turn the hunter into the hunted. Carelessness always has a price. Which is exactly why reputation can mislead. For decades, spotted hyenas carried the name of opportunistic scavengers. But in reality, between 60 and 90% of their food comes from hunts they make themselves. They are hunters in their own right. Even the famous laughter is a signal of tension and rank, not of joy. Within the clan, power passes down the female line. The offspring of a ranking female can outrank even the oldest adult males. The real strength of hyenas lies in how they organize. Small groups fanning out to patrol a vast range, then converging in moments every time the territory is threatened. The migrating herds pass through like a current, feeding everything here, but never stopping long enough to own anything. It is the ones that stay, the ones that hold a territory, that will fight for it to the end. And at the center of that web is the waterhole. The one resource that cannot be moved, and therefore the one worth trading everything for. With the male lion coalition patrolling the outer ridge, and Queen Amara hunting far away, The waterhole is left to young lions and a few females. Its strongest line of defense now empty. Now every advantage inverts. When a baboon is cornered with nowhere left to go, it can stand its ground against a lioness. A single male lion, when it has to, can hold off a dozen hyenas. But at this waterhole, there is no male. And a lone lioness can do nothing. Hyenas read this moment better than anyone. A hyena clan may number only a few dozen, or climb past 100. What makes them formidable is cold calculation. Waiting, counting, and picking the exact moment an opponent is weakest. Pressure and timing are enough, within minutes. The most important waterhole in the territory changes hands for the second time in a single day. In your opinion, does this battle mean hyenas are stronger than lions? Let us know your opinion in the comments. But now, the young lions lose for lack of numbers, not lack of courage. Dawn returns the land to stillness. The hyena clan walks the new border, leaving scent on every clump of grass. A quiet message that this territory now belongs to them. But the river remains a territory no one contests. In the water, the Nile crocodile reaches its full power. With a bite roughly 7 times stronger than an adult lion's. Yet those same jaws are delicate enough to carry an egg without breaking it. Power and precision in the same bite. But even against the oldest and most powerful predator here, there are still those willing to stand up to it. On the African savanna, numbers sometimes beat teeth and claws. and the African savanna is revealing what it truly is: a complex web of survival. Every predator is both a hunter and prey to another predator. The African fish eagle, with a wingspan over 2 meters, takes its fish in midair. Jackals trail the hyenas to pick up what is left. But a single defeat still does not shake the standing of the lion. Of all the empires here, they hold the largest territory. And they are the only species whose healthy adults have almost no natural predator. Four empires, four answers to the same question of survival. Lions rule through numbers and power, hyenas through organization. Wild dogs through loyalty, and a leopard through invisibility. On this African savanna, power always belongs to whoever holds the right resource at the right moment. And a single lapse of attention is enough to redraw the entire map of survival. Which species changed the way you see the wild today? The ambusher beneath the water, the pack that held its ground for generations, or the clan that swept in at night? Tell me right below. Hundreds of ticks. In folds of skin that a mouth, leg, or tail can never reach on their own. No solitary defense has ever proved sufficient. But the Cape buffalo has found a solution. Underwater. Wherever the ticks are thickest, that is where the fish swarm in the greatest numbers. For the school of fish, this is a nutrient-rich feast. Meanwhile, above the surface, the ticks become a familiar food source for yet another species. The slender beak of the red-billed oxpecker can probe into the deep crevices of skin that the fish could never reach. There is no overlap between the fish and the oxpecker. On the African savanna, survival is not always dictated by confrontation. Sometimes it lies in simple partnerships. Where every species involved reaps its own reward. It is precisely these quiet alliances that play a vital role in keeping the entire ecosystem in balance. The Amazon rainforest spreads across 9 countries, with Brazil holding about 60% of its total area. This is the largest tropical rainforest on Earth, where 390 billion trees of some 16,000 species stand shoulder to shoulder beneath a canopy 100 to 165 feet. About 30 to 50 meters above the ground. Millions of years ago, the rise of the Andes pushed the great rivers eastward, carving out the water system that feeds this fast, living cathedral. This forest stores between 90 and 140 billion tons of carbon. And throughout its history, it has absorbed about 2 billion tons of CO2 a year. Though that figure is falling as deforestation accelerates. If the Serengeti is an open stage where everything unfolds in plain sight, the Amazon is a closed labyrinth, where even the sunlight must struggle to reach the ground. And at the heart of that labyrinth, among the shafts of light piercing the canopy into an ancient cathedral, a shape moves. A pair of amber eyes flares to life for an instant at the forest floor. Then vanishes behind the massive buttress root of a titanic ancient tree. This is the jaguar, the apex predator enthroned, unchallenged at the very top of the Amazon food chain. Across the centuries, countless indigenous civilizations of the Americas revered the jaguar as a sacred symbol of power and the spirit world. That magnificent sun-tanned orange coat is dappled with black rosettes. Each individual carries a unique pattern. As if the ancient forest itself had inscribed an identity onto every great cat. The Tupi-Guarani people named it Yagua, meaning the one who kills with a single leap. And the name is no exaggeration. A jaguar is about 1.8 meters long and weighs 70 to 120 kilograms. Smaller than a lion, yet armed with the strongest bite of any big cat on Earth. Where the lion clamps down on the throat to suffocate its prey, the jaguar bites straight through the skull or the neck vertebrae. A single devastating strike, precise and decisive, with no need for a drawn-out struggle. But what makes the jaguar the true king of the Amazon is not only its bite. It is the ability to move seamlessly through every layer of space in its world. It plunges into the rivers to hunt caiman in their very own domain. It even hunts turtles, driving its canine eyes through the armored shell. No predator in the Amazon, or indeed anywhere on Earth, can operate so seamlessly across so many ecological layers. The territory of a solitary jaguar spans about 26 to 103 square kilometers, and it patrols every inch alone. No pack, no allies, not a single warning roar. Only silence and a flash of amber eyes in a single heartbeat among the leaves, then gone. The Amazon River, carrier of the greatest freshwater flow on the planet. More than 2,200 fish species live in these waters. about 15% of all freshwater fish on the planet, creating a density of biodiversity. No other river system on Earth can match. The unhiga, also called the snake bird, is the strangest hunter beneath the surface. And its common name is no accident. When it dives, its feathers are not waterproof at all. Unlike almost every other water bird, which sinks its whole body below the surface, leaving only the long, winding neck above the water. Looking exactly like a snake gliding through the current. But those water-soaked feathers are not a flaw. They reduce buoyancy, letting the snakebird dive deeper and maneuver underwater more nimbly than any other bird. When it spots prey, it does not give chase. Instead, it drives its dagger-like beak straight through the fish's body. Flips the fish into the air and swallows it whole. After every hunt, the snakebird must perch on a branch by the river and spread its wings to dry in the sun. Creating an iconic silhouette that anyone who has visited the Amazon recognizes at once. Deeper in the river, the piranha, the fish with the worst reputation and the most feared in all the Amazon, patrols in schools of 20 to 30. Their teeth are sharp as a surgeon's scalpel. Interlocking like a saw blade, with a bite force reaching 30 times their body weight. A school of piranha can strip clean a large carcass in just a few short minutes. Not because any single fish is especially strong, but because they coordinate their attacks with a precision that is genuinely terrifying. But the truth is far from the myths of the movies. When food is plentiful, the piranha eats mostly plants and carrion. They turn to hunting live prey only when truly driven to desperation. The piranha is not the frenzied killer the movies invented. The piranha is not the frenzied killer the movies invented. It is the river's cleanup crew, keeping the ecosystem clean. But above all those underwater hunters stand two creatures even the jaguar treats with caution. The black caiman reaches 4 to 5 meters in length and weighs about 300 kilograms. The black caiman is a supreme ambush predator and the largest member of the crocodilian family in all the Americas. It lies motionless for hours on the surface, showing only its eyes and nostrils, looking exactly like a rotting log drifting lazily on the current. Prey comes to the water's edge to drink, suspecting nothing, because that log was there long before they arrived. The black caiman needs no speed. It needs patience. And 85 million years of evolution have honed that patience to absolute perfection. But the black caiman is not the only ruler of the water kingdom. The giant anaconda, 5 to 6 meters long and over 100 kilograms, kills by constriction. Coil after coil of massive muscle wraps around the victim, tightening a little more with each breath the prey exhales, until the heart stops entirely. The anaconda has no reason to hurry. It can hold its prey in that suffocating grip for tens of minutes, patiently waiting as each final breath grows weaker. Until at last only silence remains. Once the prey is dead, the anaconda swallows it whole, opening its jaw joints to an almost unimaginable degree, engulfing victims many times wider than its own head. If the black caiman is a sword, swift, precise, lethal, then the anaconda is a moose, slow, patient, and utterly impossible to escape.
4 years, holding a territory the size of a major city. In dry season, nothing challenges Kasai here. But this is flood season. The channel where Kasai's pride hunts now belongs to a creature 15 times heavier. The open plain where the pride ran prey down is now thigh-deep mud. Kasai's territory rewritten by 30 million liters of water every single day. Who truly controls Okavango? A cat 16 times smaller than a lion, with the highest hunt success rate of any African felid. 200 Cape buffalo are massing. It begins with the story of water. The Angola highlands receive rain from January. That rain builds into the Cubango River and flows south, unhurried, unstoppable. When the flood peaks in July, 30 million liters pour into the delta every day. Not one drop reaches the sea. This is a completely closed system. Okavango is called the Jewel of the Kalahari, not for its beauty alone, but because without it, every living thing across 930,000 square kilometers of surrounding desert cannot survive the dry season. Okavango is the last anchor. In 2014, UNESCO formally inscribed this delta on the World Natural Heritage List for the highest biodiversity density in Africa. By area, 130 species of large mammals, over 500 species of birds, 70 species of fish. In flood season, every boundary is erased by water, and power redistributes from the beginning. Azura steps into the flooded zone for the first time this season. Cheetah is the only felid, with claws that cannot fully retract, like a lion or leopard. That is why cheetah reaches 100 kilometers per hour on firm ground. The terrain changes every calculation. Azura needs 8 to 12 successful hunt attempts each day to meet the caloric needs of the whole group. In flood season mud, each attempt burns twice the energy. 200 meters away, Tamer stands on top of a termite mound, listening. Serval has the largest ear-to-body ratio of any African wildcat. 32 separate muscle groups control each ear, compared to 12 in a domestic cat. Both ears operate completely independently. Left ear scans left, right ear scans right, creating three-dimensional sound triangulation. Tamer hears a prey animal's heartbeat through the surface of the water. That is the ideal distance to begin a hunt on firm ground. But between Azura and the gazelle are 180 meters of flood season mud. The gazelle only needs to run fast enough to reach deeper mud. where Azura cannot follow. Azura stops and watches the prey escape. Continuing through deep mud burns more calories than the kill would return. Azura's 3 cubs were born 2 months before the flood arrived. The worst possible timing in the year to give birth to cheetah cubs in Okavango. The greatest challenge of flood season is not the water. It is the moving water. Every week, the map of Okavango changes. The island Azura used as a base last week is now completely submerged. Adapting to a shifting landscape is what Azura is teaching her 3 cubs this flood season. How to read water. Darker water means deeper water. Deeper means slower. The movement of reeds reveals current direction. The tracks of large animals like zebra and Cape buffalo mark the safe routes. Lechwe is the most vivid lesson that flood season teaches Azura. The lechwe's hind legs are longer than its front legs, the opposite of almost every other hooved animal. In flood season, lechwe becomes the one prey no one can catch in shallow water. And shallow water is 70% of Okavango's surface area for 7 months. Clean contact. Serval's hunt success rate in Okavango flood conditions exceeds 50%, highest of any African felid in flood season. Okavango flood season redistributes every advantage in ways no species can resist. Leopard, serval, cheetah. Every species finds its own solution, but only one finds the best one. Flood season demands more than speed. It demands flexibility. Mosey does not need land territory. She needs the channel. The lead female, 2,800 kilograms, 22 years old. Controlling 8 kilometers of the delta's main channel by the simplest method possible. She is always there. Mosey's pod of 22 hippos. The paths they carve into the channel floor are called hippo highways. Grooves 80 centimeters deep and 1.2 meters wide, running along the channel in the direction that optimizes flow. The channel ecosystem is maintained. Hippos also secrete a red-orange liquid through their skin, not sweat, not blood. That is hipposudoric acid, the only known natural sunscreen, antibacterial and antiseptic compound in any mammal. In 12 hours of daily submersion, their skin stays free of infection, free of parasites, free of the bacteria that fill the channel. On the north side of the largest termite island in the area, a herd of elephants is working. Building. African elephant is the only species with the weight and strength to break through the raised earth banks between islands and channels. Humans spend decades and millions of dollars building irrigation channels. Okavango lets elephants do it for free, and the result is better, because elephants follow the natural water gradient, not an engineer's blueprint. Prey only 80 meters away, but between Kasai and the Lechwe herd, is a channel 1.5 meters deep. A 190-kilogram lion in 1.5 meters of moving water is not a threat. It is a heavy object being pushed sideways by the current. The bull of Moses Pod. Present, standing, with 3,000 kilograms and 4 canine teeth, 50 centimeters long. First defeat of this flood season. Inside every cubic meter of Okavango water, a conversation is happening. In electricity, electric mormyrid fish are the African electric fish group that use weak electric pulses to navigate, identify each other, and communicate in zero visibility conditions. Each individual emits its own distinct electrical signal, like an electronic fingerprint. A school of 200 can recognize one another in total darkness through this signal system. When the flood rises and underwater visibility drops below 10 centimeters, every conventional sense becomes useless. Catfish use whiskers. Crocodiles use pressure receptors on the jaw. Mormyrids use electricity. This is why the Okavango Delta supports 71 species of fish, more than any other inland water system in Africa of equivalent area. The Mzima pack has 11 African wild dogs, and one rule: no one eats alone. This system is a resource conservation strategy. African wild dog hunt success rate is 80%, the highest of any large predator in Africa. Not because they are stronger or faster, because they never chase alone. In flood season conditions, where mud slows every species equally, Mzima's relay tactic is unaffected. The Mzima pack spent 5 days mapping the new channel territory before beginning to hunt in flood season. 5 days observing water flow direction, the locations of shallow crossings, the daily routes impala take when drinking. Mzima knows the flood season terrain better than any newly arrived species. From day 6 onward, success rate climbs steadily, with each day of accumulated data. In the Delta's deepest channel, a species not on anyone's list of dominance candidates is preparing the most remarkable performance of flood season. African sharp-toothed catfish is not an apex predator in the traditional sense, but it has one capability that no other fish in Okavango has: direct air breathing. African sharp-toothed catfish evolved a supplementary respiratory organ, a cavity in the head that functions like a primitive lung, extracting oxygen from air instead of water. When dissolved oxygen in the water drops too low, catfish surface and breathe air directly. That capability lets them survive in low oxygen zones. that every other fish species must abandon. Kasai needs to cross the channel to reach the land on the far side. In dry season, this is a 20-second swim through shallow water. In flood season, the channel is 3 times wider and 1 meter deeper. The hippopod sits between the start and the destination. Kasai has no option in this situation. The lion no longer controls this place. Cape buffalo have reached a threshold that no African predator can confront alone. A mature bull weighs 700 to 900 kilograms. The boss horn takes 8 years to fully form. A full force charge from an 800-kilogram buffalo generates roughly 2 tons of force, concentrated into an area the size of a thumb. Within the herd, mature bulls rotate sentry duty. On a natural schedule, when one detects a threat, it stops and looks directly toward it. Within 20 seconds, every animal nearby has turned to face the same point. The entire process runs through a network of head orientation reading and body posture. In flood season, the herd concentrates on high ground with minimal flooding. 200 to 500 animals on a land surface. That has shrunk to under 20% of its dry season size. That means the entire herd within 100 meters, instead of spread across 5 square kilometers as in dry season. The time from detecting a threat to full herd response drops sharply. Lion success rates against buffalo drop in flood season, even though the prey is more concentrated. Higher prey concentration means a faster and denser collective defense system. This is the lion pride's hunt strategy that worked effectively across many dry seasons. 2 flanks approach from perpendicular angles. The prey flees one flank and runs into the other waiting. On dry ground in dry season with scattered prey, this tactic achieved 30% success against isolated animals at the herd's edge. Kasai in position for the ambush. Wind direction correct. Ideal distance by dry season experience. But the herd does not respond like individual prey. The pride executes every step of the plan. But the herd does not panic. When the lead bull drops its boss horn and moves forward, that is the signal. 300 buffalo moving in the same direction. Creating a combined mass of around 200 metric tons. The herd does not chase them into the water. The objective is not to destroy the lions. The objective is to push them beyond the herd's safety radius. Once Kasai crosses that threshold, the herd stops and turns back. Kasai's defeat against the buffalo herd causes no immediate harm to the pride's health. Lions can go without eating for 14 days and maintain full hunting capacity. But this defeat has a dual ecological consequence. First, the 300-strong buffalo herd occupies the highest ground. That same ground is where impala and zebra concentrate. Being pushed outside the 50-meter radius of the buffalo herd means losing access to 80% of available prey in the zone. Second, this is how buffalo restructure the lion's hunting map in flood season. Without the need for continuous confrontation, buffalo hold the land. Impala and zebra learn to stay within range of that land. Kasai ends this flood season with the highest defeat count. In its short life so far, 5 weeks to dry season, long-term lion behavior research in Botswana recorded a consistent pattern. Lions that experienced at least one complete flood season between ages 2 and 5 had a 40% higher 5-year survival rate than lions that did not. Failure does not mean lost capacity. Failure means exposure to pressure that dry season never generates, and exposure to that pressure is how. The lion's brain builds a library of responses for situations that inherited experience cannot prepare for. And Kasai, pushed back toward lower ground, learns what no dry season can teach: that the dominant species is not the one that never loses, but the one that survives enough losses to understand why. And next year, when the flood rises again, Kasai will not approach a herd of 300 buffalo at that same distance, with that same plan, because this delta does not forgive those who do not learn, but it never refuses to teach. October, the flood begins to recede. Not suddenly, but a centimeter at a time each day, invisible to the eye in 24 hours, but unmistakable after a week. Mud exposed under sun. Within 48 hours of the surface drying, the first grass shoots appear. From the nutrient-dense sediment, the water left behind. Grass grows from this mud faster than any grassland on the planet. Because Okavango sediment carries alluvial deposits from Angola at 1,700 meters elevation, rich in tropical minerals that lowland plains cannot generate themselves. New grass is not just food, it is a signal. Zebra arrive in the second week after the grass appears. They can smell new grass from 20 kilometers downwind. Then wildebeest. Then impala. And when enough prey gathers on the new floodplain grassland, the delta calls the lions back. Firm ground returns 80 kilometers per hour to Kasai. Flat plain returns the capacity for straight-line pursuit. Open ground without dense vegetation returns a 300-meter visual advantage. Azura also returns to the dry floodplain. Hunt success climbs from 25% in flood season mud back to 45% on firm ground. Azura's 3 cubs grew through 7 months of flood. By learning to hunt smaller prey in difficult conditions, field mice, lizards, small birds in shallow water. Not the skills of an adult cheetah, but skills impossible to learn on dry ground. All 3 will become adult cheetah, who know what flood season is and know that speed is not the answer to every question. Tama loses the catfish frenzy advantage when the water recedes, but in 7 months of flood, she accumulated enough energy to reproduce successfully. 2 serval cubs beside Tama are the product of one rich flood season. Serval produce 2 to 3 cubs when conditions are good, and 1 or none when conditions are poor. Flood season is the best possible conditions for Tema. 2 cubs surviving to October is a rare success rate in the wild. Mosi and the hippo pod stay in the main channel as the flood recedes. Hippos do not leave the channel. They wait for the channel to shrink around them. And the hippo highways across hundreds of kilometers of channel that the pod created through decades of repeated footsteps keep the flow deep enough exactly where they need it. And each flood season, the hippo channels serve not just the hippos, but every species that needs deep water in dry season. The end of one flood season never means everything returns to zero. The Cape buffalo herd carries new memory of channel crossings and recalls that Kasai pursued them from the north this year. Azura and 3 cubs carry the experience of flood season, and those cubs will pass it on to their own young. Tema carries 2 serval cubs that are the result of 7 months of accumulated catfish frenzy. Mosi carries 1 more completed flood season, in which the pod survived intact. 8 weeks after the flood drops to its lowest point, the Okavango ecosystem completes a recovery cycle that ecologists call post-flood succession. Knee-high green grass across the entire low floodplain. Zebra return at the highest density of the year, up to tens of thousands in a 200 square kilometer area. And when zebra arrive at that density, Kasai does not have to wait anymore. Kasai makes the first successful kill after 19 days of inadequate food, on the very first straight-line pursuit on dry ground. The remaining water pools after the flood recedes become the center of the entire dry season ecosystem. Every animal must come to drink once a day, and lions learn early. That waterholes are places to wait, not to chase. Kasai knows every waterhole in its territory. And every afternoon in November, Kasai does not chase. Kasai waits, with the patience of an animal. That just finished 3 lessons across 7 months. Mosi and the hippo pod hold the dry season channel through their own infrastructure. The hippo highways channel enough flow to sustain 22 animals through the longest dry season. After 8 years controlling this channel, Mosi has created a channel system the surrounding zone cannot exist without. Without Mosi's hippopod, the main channel would disperse into many shallow branches, with insufficient depth for crocodiles in dry season. Without crocodiles, fish populations would surge and consume all aquatic vegetation. Without aquatic vegetation, wading birds lose their food source. Mosi does not know she is the foundation of the ecosystem around her. She only does what hippos have always done. Stay in the water, feed on land at night, protect the young, and maintain the path the pod has used since before Mosi was born. Simple as that, and that simplicity is enough to build an ecosystem. UNESCO recognized Okavango as a World Natural Heritage Site because of a self-sustaining system that needs no intervention. 15 billion liters of water in each year. 15 billion liters of water out each year through evaporation and absorption. A perfect balance with no hand adjusting it. And within that balance, 130,000 species of plants and animals survive, many still unnamed. Kasai stands on the highest termite island in the area at dusk. The delta spreads out ahead, equal parts water and land. The boundary unclear even from the highest vantage point. Scientists call this behavior sentinel behavior. But Kasai is not watching for enemies. She is reading the terrain. Ecology has a concept called temporal niche partitioning. Not who occupies the most space wins, but who chooses the right moment. Serval chose the 7 flood months as a peak season, when catfish frenzy delivers enough protein to reproduce. Hippo chose the deep channel as a permanent domain across both seasons, because the channel never dries where the hippos live. Cape buffalo chose collective action as their weapon, one that cannot be broken by any single individual. Wild dog chose relay tactics, unaffected by changing terrain conditions. Lion chose speed and power, which dominate the 5 dry season months absolutely. Okavango is not where the strongest wins. Okavango is where the most fitting wins, the one with the right season, the right terrain, the right way of life. And every year, the definition of most fitting shifts with the rhythm of 30 million liters of water every day. Kasai has dominated this territory for 4 years without a meaningful defeat on dry ground. This flood season's 3 defeats do not erase those 4 years. They add to the map Kasai carries, the map of a lion that knows when dry ground is hers and when flood season demands patience instead of action. Okavango does not teach this through textbooks, but through 30 million liters of water every day for 7 consecutive months. Every year, no pause, no exception. And every species must relearn from the start, or remember enough to avoid relearning. Strength is not winning every battle. Strength is knowing which battles are worth fighting and which to wait for another season. When Angola's rain falls on the BIC plateau in January next year, the cycle begins again. Water flows down the Cubango River for 1,200 kilometers. Through Angola, through Namibia, into Botswana. 4 months to reach the Kalahari. And when it arrives, the delta meets it with everything learned from the season before. Serval will again command the termite islands when the flood rises, because termite mounds are still the highest ground. Hippo will again control the deep channels, because the hippo highways are still the water's path. Wild dog will again spend 5 days mapping terrain at the start of the season, because those 5 days are why the 78% success rate exists. Thabo will again mark the eastern termite island, because warthog do not abandon territory, only adapt to what the flood changes. And Kasai will wait again, patient, because lions know their season. This is Okavango, not where the strongest always wins, but where those who know their moment always survive. Greatest wildlife fights in the jewel of the Kalahari. Every flood season in Okavango rewrites the balance, and the species that know this do not need to win every battle. They only need to survive until their season comes. If you want to know what happens when Okavango dries completely, when the channels disappear and every species competes for the last remaining water, the next story is waiting. Hit subscribe and don't miss it. 30 million liters of water every day, 7 months every year. 2.5 million years without interruption. This is Okavango. And every flood season, the lesson is rewritten, not in ink, but in mud and water, and the memory of species that have lived here longer than any human. The only question Okavango puts to every species is also the simplest. In this season, who are you? When the floods recede, everything returns to the brutal reality of the dry season. The African savanna is not the only place where evolution has forged a ruthless food chain. Nearly 9,000 miles away across the Atlantic, another great furnace burns. Here, supreme power does not operate under blinding light. It hides in shadows that crawl across the earth and whispers in absolute silence. Ground temperature reaches 80 degrees Celsius. Air rises like steam from a scalding pan, bending the horizon into shimmering, trembling mirages. This is the Sonoran Desert, the greatest furnace in North America. Stretching across more than 100,000 square miles of rock, sand, and cactus, running from Arizona through California and cutting across Mexico. At first glance, nothing should survive here. The answer begins at the bottom of the food chain. Here, a creature that must live every single day. As if it were the last, the desert cottontail. Weighing barely 3 pounds, around 1.3 kilograms, and stretching just 15 inches long, it is a moving meal for almost every predator in the Sonoran. Its greatest survival weapon is a pair of massive ears that account for up to 14% of its body mass. Those ears are a perfect biological heat dissipation system. A dense network of capillaries inside the ear expands under the heat, radiating body temperature out into the air. Without this mechanism, the desert cottontail's blood would, in the most literal sense, boil from the inside out. At dawn and dusk, when temperatures drop slightly, the cottontail finally leaves its shelter. It moves using a technique known as shade hopping, leaping from one patch of shadow to the next, as if the ground between them were molten lava. Each leap carries a life or death calculation. The distance between two patches of shade, the sun's angle, and the direction of wind that carries the scent of predators. Every predator wants the desert cottontail, but not everyone dares touch the creature that comes next. The desert horned lizard is tiny, moves slowly, and at first glance resembles a rock that grew legs. Its body is encased in a layer of razor-sharp spines, making it a meal that is, in the most literal sense, impossible to swallow. Any predator foolish enough to try will find dozens of spines driving through the roof of its mouth. Its camouflage allows it to blend completely into desert rock and sand, but that is only the first line of defense. When cornered, the horned lizard activates a weapon no other reptile on the planet possesses. It shoots a jet of blood from the corners of its eyes, up to 1.5 meters. Its blood carries an intensely bitter compound that forces coyotes, foxes, and even snakes to spit it out and retreat immediately. The most terrifying biological weapon in the desert does not come from claws or venomous fangs, but from a pair of eyes. In the Sonoran food chain, the horned lizard has proven one truth. That defense is the currency of survival. No speed required, no great size needed. Just make yourself too terrifying for anyone to bother. There is one creature that has gone even further. It uses neither blood nor spines to defend itself, but weaponizes the fear of others. The burrowing owl, the only owl in the Sonoran that lives underground. Unlike its relatives, it hunts during the day, taking insects, small mice, lizards, and anything it can fit in its beak. Its unusually long legs allow it to sprint across open ground, making it a ground hunter wearing the mask of a sky predator. The burrowing owl does not dig its own burrow. It squats. Any abandoned tunnel left by prairie dogs, desert tortoises, or badgers becomes fair game. When an enemy approaches the burrow entrance, the burrowing owl produces a sound that freezes every creature in the desert, the warning rattle of a rattlesnake. Not a real rattlesnake, just the owl itself, perfectly mimicking the sound of the desert's most feared killer. In the darkness of the burrow, no intruder dares take that risk. With no venom and no spines, the burrowing owl has turned fear itself into its ultimate weapon. Sometimes pretending to be dangerous is more effective than being dangerous at all. But this false rattle only works when a real rattlesnake is not nearby. In the Sonoran, rattlesnakes are always close. The coyote is the greatest opportunist the Sonoran has ever produced. Smaller than its northern cousins, weighing just 25 to 30 pounds, around 11 to 13 kilograms, with sparser fur designed to shed heat more easily. Small in body, not in ambition, coyotes eat whatever crosses their path. Cactus fruit when desperate, cottontails when lucky, lizards when convenient, and carrion when nothing else remains. Opportunism elevated to an art form. When hunting smaller prey, the coyote works alone. It waits, hidden behind creosote bushes, both ears rotating like radar, scanning for sound, nose working the wind. When a cottontail appears 30 feet away, the coyote transforms into a launched arrow, accelerating to 40 miles per hour, around 64 kilometers per hour. But on steep rocky slopes, the coyote concedes to the desert bighorn sheep, creatures that can scale vertical rock faces at 15 miles per hour. Only when facing large prey on flat, open ground do they shift to pack hunting tactics. Sunrise over the Masai Mara is a moment of pure magic. In the crisp morning air, the topi shake off the remnants of sleep. Some engage in clashing horns to get their muscles moving. They vie for the highest mounds on the plain, securing a panoramic view and prime status to attract mates. Those who come up short are moved to the lower ground. This lively dynamic marks a productive start for these creatures. But breakfast is always on the horizon. In the pride's first meal of the day, the hierarchy of power is clearer than ever. Although the lionesses handle most of the intense pursuit, the alpha male claims the privilege of eating first to maintain his peak condition. Sometimes the dominant male uses this right as a social discipline tool. If a female declines a mating request, the male may strictly prevent her from touching the prize she secured herself. This firm approach ensures he is always calling the shots during his tenure. A male lion's throne is a fleeting position. On average, a king only keeps his crown for 2 to 3 years before being unseated by younger, stronger rivals. When young males in the pride reach about 3 years of age, they are sent away by their father to prevent inbreeding and remove any seeds of rebellion. For now, they must simply follow their father's lead and offer comfort to their weary mother. The hyena clan has been vocal since daybreak. Now the sun is high in the sky. Yet the foraging party has not returned. This male hyena has just finished his search. He carries back a late morning meal. The aroma of this feast is quite alluring, drawing a female to the spot. This fellow is doing it all for love, even if he may not receive a single morsel from the meal he just secured. In hyena society, the ladies hold the reins. The females are larger and much more assertive. Males must endure a long, humble journey to carry on their legacy. They must constantly lower their gaze, tuck their tails, and step back whenever a female draws near. A clever male will choose to be a dedicated shadow. He will trail his interest for weeks or even months, maintaining a respectful distance and appearing as harmless as can be. He even learns to show affection to the dominant female's own young to get in her good graces, truly paying his dues to win over the queen. The demanding cycle of life for newborn hyenas begins with their very first breath. Unlike most other mammals, spotted hyena cubs enter the world with a full set of teeth and eyes wide open. Their quest for status ignites within the first days of life. To secure prime access to their mother, these little ones are ready to contend with their own siblings. This trial determines who will lead in the future social order. For the entire first year, mother's milk is their sole sustenance. They cannot process solid food until they reach 8 months of age. This reliance requires the mother to dedicate all her energy to protection and care before beginning a new reproductive cycle. This shivering newcomer has just been brought into the light. The moment it arrives, its journey is officially on the clock. The mother doesn't offer nourishment just yet. The little one must prove it is a fighter. Merely 15 minutes after birth, the young antelope must find its stride. Only after showing its agility does the calf receive the reward of nutritious milk. This urgency is no coincidence. The reproductive window for the topi is incredibly narrow. A female has only a single day each year to secure the next generation. Contrasting the grazer's instant agility, these hunters start off still wet behind the ears in total fragility. The dense thickets serve as a sanctuary for the newest members of the royal line. Lion cubs are born completely sightless and delicate, weighing only about 1 kilogram. They must remain tucked away in dens for their first 2 months to stay out of sight from other wandering eyes, and from their curious older cousins as well. This is the most sensitive stage. New life is shielded only by the protective instincts of the mother. Quite a distance away lies the territory of the lion pride, a large family unit. Prides in the Masai Mara can reach up to 20 individuals. Strength resides in the unity of the female alliance. They form a supportive matriarchy, where lionesses co-parent the young and hunt together. It takes a substantial target to satisfy the hunger of a large pride. The buffalo is a challenging prize, yet always enticing. Even when the strongest males have secured the catch, the young ones still hesitate, as if finding their feet in this world. Typically, the dominant males do not spend much time hunting. His role is that of a guardian of the boundaries. He patrols the borders constantly, marking territory and leaving scent paths to warn any intruders. It is all to safeguard the pride's reign and the well-being of the little ones. As the sun reaches its peak, the Masai Mara transforms into a massive furnace. To beat the heat and shield themselves from harsh rays and persistent hitchhikers, these giants seek out the mud wallows. The damp earth serves as a protective coat for their delicate skin against the intense warmth. Unlike the elephant herds that use mud as a temporary mask, the hippopotamus chooses to rule the currents to beat the heat. An alpha male claims a stretch of water spanning about 200 meters, establishing his own absolute rule. These giants spend up to 16 hours each day soaking in the water or cooling mud. The hippopotamus lacks sweat glands entirely. Under the intense African sun, their thick skin is actually quite delicate and prone to sun damage if exposed too long to ultraviolet rays. Staying submerged also helps manage their massive weight. The current supports their joints, allowing this nearly 3 tons giant to move with surprising grace. Much like lions, a mother hippo does not feel at ease giving birth around assertive males. She must seek out a separate pool to welcome her only calf. Their connection to the water begins from the very first moments of life. Hippopotamus calves are born right beneath the surface and are natural-born swimmers. Even before finding their footing on land, they dive skillfully alongside their mother, using the water as a safe shield against shoreline hunters. Even so, one can never be too cautious. The mother cannot bring her little one back to the herd's waters just yet. She worries that territorial disputes among the males could place her precious calf at risk. The solitary mother becomes fiercely protective toward anyone who draws near her and her calf's pool, even if it is a lion. But a hunter is approaching. She is in need of a drink, but the hippo will not allow her to come any closer. Having raised young before, the mother knows exactly what this lioness is capable of. They are master hunters, and her calf would be quite a prize for them. A firm snap toward the head. With a jaw that opens 150 degrees and teeth far larger than those of a lioness, she easily convinces the predator to take a hike and forget her thirst. As the top-tier hunters retreat into the shade, the mother cheetah begins her shift. This is a clever survival strategy, seeking a meal while the heavy hitters are deep in slumber. Unlike the single mother working hard to raise a litter of 4 to 6, the males often choose a different path as they mature. They form a tight-knit coalition, often brothers from the same litter, to collectively safeguard a vast territory of 13 to 130 square kilometers. In the world of cheetahs, unity helps them hold on to lands rich with resources. A coalition functions as a truly egalitarian society. Those living alone often find themselves in poorer condition and rarely keep their ground against the competition of these close-knit male groups. Today, 4 cheetah brothers are setting their stage. The target is a zebra. Once the target is identified, the biological machine kicks into gear. As the prize is brought down, the outcome of the chase is clear. But the cheetahs must still eat quickly. The midday sun might keep hyenas from working for their own food, but it won't stop them from trying to muscle in on the action for an easy meal. With fewer leftovers from lions available, the hyenas of the Masai Mara are becoming more assertive than ever. At midday in the Masai Mara, the sunlight is an unrelenting force, seeking moisture from every living being. African elephants understand this better than anyone. They turn mud into a protective coat, a natural sunscreen for their massive frames. Once dry, this layer becomes a shield against pests and keeps their temperature from rising too high. While the adults enjoy temporary relief, the newest members of the herd struggle with their own bodies. Their small trunks make them quite clumsy. From birth to 3 months of age, the trunk is merely a decorative accessory. It takes up to 6 months for a calf to begin learning the ropes of coordinating the complex movements needed to grasp grass or leaves. Only at 1 year old do they truly master the skill of drawing up water. Fully mastering techniques like breaking tough branches or picking up fruit with the trunk's tip is reserved for those 2 years of age or older. Yet, within that clumsiness, the calves are always sheltered. Elephant milk is a premium nutrient source, rich in fats and proteins, allowing the young to grow rapidly at an average of 1 kilogram per day. Here, the concept of family is fully realized. The aunts, sisters, and grandmothers in the herd all participate in raising the little ones. However, the intensity of a drought sometimes tests the limits of endurance. The elephant herd is always on the move. Their journey spreads nutrients, levels the ground, and even clears paths through the brush. The matriarch leads the way as she is the most respected figure. But not every young one can keep pace with the elder female. A pressing thirst leaves the elephant herd feeling weary. This presents a prime opening for the lions. They set their sights on a young calf. The thing remaining is the profound sorrow of a mother with a heavy heart. Before the weight of her recent loss has even begun to lift, the mother elephant must already face the scavengers. A single mother faces her most demanding survival puzzle. Instead of hoisting the prize into a tree as usual, she chooses to play it safe by concealing it in an abandoned warthog burrow to stay out of sight from scavengers. A high-stakes decision. Any passing predator could stumble upon this feast. Yet, dragging the catch a long distance in 40 degrees heat is simply too much of a gamble. Another grueling trek begins. She must retrieve the precious gift she carefully stowed away. It is a path long enough to ensure the scent does not linger. A young boy. In the world of the leopard, young males tend to stay with their mothers longer than their sisters, sometimes up to 24 months. This is because establishing a solo territory for a young male is a monumental task under the pressure of other mature males. Nuzzling and grooming at this stage are the emotional bonds that strengthen the tie between mother and cub. Now she will guide the youngster to where his favorite meal awaits. From 6 to 8 weeks of age, the cub has already begun sampling meat, and soon he will learn to accompany his mother on actual outings. Leaving him unattended in a den for up to 36 hours is a gamble. Young leopards also hone their nimble climbing skills. On the savanna, raising a future warrior requires dedication and limitless patience. As the sun begins to fade and the air grows cooler, the night hunters prepare for their day's work. As the sunset paints the elephant grass golden in the Masai Mara, the air thickens with the urgency of the day's final cycle. This is the prime window for mid-tier hunters, where every move is racing against time in the fading light. Survival here relies on more than just raw power. It is a sophisticated logistical puzzle solved by the sharpest minds on the savanna. Black-backed jackals build their status on a rare foundation in the savanna: absolute lifelong loyalty. A black-backed jackal pair stays together for life, repurposing empty warthog burrows or old termite mounds into a secure family stronghold. The youngsters are looked after by their older siblings while the parents go out to forage. Young gazelles are not as fortunate. From an early age, their existence is a high-stakes gamble where the mother wagers everything. The tiny one lies curled up, pressed against the ground and staying perfectly still for hours. Their coat blends seamlessly with the dried grass and sandy soil. The mother bets that no one will stumble upon her young. But today, the odds were not in her favor. Jackals possess incredibly sharp senses. For today, a bit of luck also helped them hit the jackpot. The jackals quickly attend to the meal they easily discovered. They have little ones of their own to consider. The female black-backed jackal consumes the portions as fast as possible, turning her own stomach into a secure transport pouch. At the den entrance, the eager faces of the waiting pups show their anticipation. When the mother returns, the meal begins. Finally, they can satisfy their hunger after a demanding day. As darkness falls, all the pups must retreat into the den to stay hidden from those with keen night vision. The mother leopard's brief window of peace draws to a close. She must guide her little one to a safer haven. Deep into the territory of the dominant male she paired with. Every step is a wager on the strength and well-being of the youngster. The innocent cub remains unaware. Twilight brings a welcome coolness, yet it also masks those who move in silence. The young one has reached the branches where his mother has stored a meal for the coming day. As a devoted mother, the leopardess maintains more than a single cache of food, but an unfamiliar scent lingers. Even though male leopards are typically larger, the mother is watching like a hawk and will stand her ground against anyone who dares approach her cub. The commotion draws the dominant male to the scene. He has shown himself to be a reliable partner. The intruder is turned away, yet remains fortunate to escape with his health intact. As shadows reclaim the plains, the most skilled hunters emerge from their hideouts. In the tall grass of the Masai Mara, a mobile radar station operates with total precision. The serval possesses the largest ears in the feline world relative to its frame. These satellite dishes are so keen they can pick up the footsteps of a mouse moving deep underground or in the thickest brush. For the serval, sound is scenery, and the darkness is her greatest ally. However, tonight's mission comes with more pressure than usual. In a hidden rocky crevice not far away, her nursing youngling waits with anticipation. This single mother is forced to gamble, leaving her fragile cub behind to nourish herself. Without a proper meal, her ability to provide milk will fade. Despite her slender frame, the serval is truly at the top of her game when it comes to efficiency on the savanna. Her success rate reaches 50%, a figure that completely overshadows the 30% of a lion pride or the 38% of a leopard. This proficiency comes from a blend of extraordinary hearing and unbelievable leaps. Long legs provide the serval with incredible lift, allowing her to soar 3 meters into the air or leap 4 meters to secure a meal from above. The most vital step is identifying the target. All that remains is the final, decisive move. A female serval's life is a journey of independence and constant awareness. She must carry the weight of raising her young alone. without any assistance from the male. To keep her cub away from the prying eyes of hyenas or the intensity of leopards, she frequently moves her home, leaving no scent behind. The 1-month-old youngsters have started trying meat provided by their mother, yet they still rely on her warmth until they are 5 months old. Every survival lesson, from active listening to the perfect pounce, is taught through real-world practice with live prizes brought back to the den. As the final light retreats, the Masai Mara transforms into an intense sanctuary for shadows. For the wildebeest herd, existence narrows to the keen vigilance of hearing and scent. They stand close together, every nostril flaring to detect a stray molecule of scent in the night wind. Yet nature often favors the most capable. Strong night gusts not only distract the senses of the prey, but also completely veil the footsteps of those gathering in the darkness. In the thick darkness, the lioness possesses an overwhelming biological advantage. Their eyes are a masterpiece of evolution, with light-sensitive rod cells 6 times more effective than human vision. A reflective layer behind the retina allows them to capture every stray particle of starlight to reconstruct a clear image of their interest. However, superb eyesight is only one part of the story. A lioness carries a relatively small heart, making up about 0.5% of her body weight, which prevents her from sustaining long-distance pursuits. Her assets are explosive energy and extreme patience. The lionesses do not work alone. They function as an organized special unit. Through subtle glances and quiet vocal cues, they have their strategy down to a science, pinning their interest in a pincer movement. Those on the wings begin to direct the wildebeest herd, steering them straight toward the members waiting in the center. When the gap narrows to 20 meters, the silence is completely lifted. The lead female surges forward with an explosive speed of nearly 60 kilometers per hour. Amidst the chaos of 1,000 hooves, she zeroes in on a single individual thanks to her sharp motion detection. A sudden strike combined with a firm hold on the throat interrupts the air supply of the subject. A successful nighttime outing brings a survival rate of up to 30% for the pride, an impressive figure compared to their more modest results during the day. In this nocturnal kingdom, superior teamwork and vision turn these shadows of the brush into the ultimate masters of the life cycle. As the pride settles into their nightly feast, the surrounding shadows erupt with eerie laughter. The spotted hyenas have arrived, the most persistent figures next in line at the site. A resonant roar from the king is all it takes to keep them at bay for a while, securing the meal for the delicate cubs. Yet the patience of these scavengers knows no bounds. They are truly biding their time. They linger in the shadows, catching the inviting scent of a nutrient-rich meal. At the forefront of the cleanup crew is the spotted hyena, a creature with an incredible bite force of 9,000 newtons. This strength surpasses even that of a lion, allowing them to break down the sturdiest bones to reach the nutrient-rich marrow within. They aren't just looking for scraps. They consume the skin, horns, and every tough remnant left behind, going the whole 9 yards. Their digestive system functions like a natural chemical plant, with potent stomach acid, capable of fully processing even the most durable tissues. As the lion pride finally moves on, a new commotion begins with the arrival of the black-backed jackal. These nimble scavengers choose not to challenge the muscular strength of the spotted hyena directly. Instead, they utilize a cunning hit-and-run tactic. Possessing a sharp sense of smell that can pick up a scent from several kilometers away, they are often among the first to arrive. Their compact and agile bodies allow them to weave through openings, quickly claiming soft remnants before vanishing into the darkness in the blink of an eye. They are opportunistic phantoms, surviving by being quick on their feet and knowing how to strike while the iron is hot when the giants leave an opening. The true conclusion of the feast belongs to the vultures as the first light of dawn appears. Though they often watch from the skies, they must wait for the mammalian hunters to move on before they can step in. These biological cleansers use their sharp, hooked beaks to clear the final remnants from eye sockets and the deepest reaches of the ribs. Evolution has granted them a featherless head for cleanliness when reaching deep inside, ensuring no unwanted hitchhikers cling to their plumage. With a stomach pH near 0, they neutralize potent pathogens like anthrax or botulinum toxin at the source. Vultures are the final stop for illness, ensuring the harsh conclusion of one's journey doesn't become a widespread crisis for the plains. In the Masai Mara, existence is a tightly woven cycle, where the remains of one provide nourishment for thousands of others. The dawn light reveals the bleached frame of the wildebeest, with not a single morsel left behind. The vultures take flight, cleaning the slate for the quiet start of a new day. The Great Migration is often seen as the eternal heartbeat of East Africa, a cycle of life that never truly comes to a halt. However, the years 2024 to 2026 have brought unusual shifts that have shaken up the old ways. Due to climate shifts and erratic rainfall, the traditional path between the Serengeti and Masai Mara is being redrawn in highly unpredictable ways. Instead of completing the full loop into Tanzania, many small groups have chosen to turn back midway or remain in surrounding private conservancies as long as the grass stays green. This flexibility is how they adapt to meet the challenges of the changing climate. Within this massive flow, order is found through an unusual alliance between very different neighbors. Though they boast overwhelming numbers of 1.5 million individuals, wildebeests are notoriously poor at finding their way. Fortunately, they have the zebra, the living compasses of the plains. With exceptional spatial memory, zebras recall every river bend and path from years past to guide the massive group in the right direction. In return for that guidance, the wildebeests bring a masterful sense of smell to the table. They can detect the scent of rain and moisture from up to 50 kilometers away, leading the group toward freshly watered pastures. This partnership is also visible on every stretch of grass they cross. Zebras, with their sturdy teeth, handle the older and tougher grass tops first. This naturally clears the area, revealing the tender young grass beneath for the wildebeests. They need each other to thrive, forming a perfect biological team that overcomes every hurdle, working hand in glove to keep moving forward. Known as the simpletons of the savanna, wildebeests are actually the planet's greatest ecological architects. With an overwhelming presence of 1.5 million individuals, they exert immense biological influence on every land they cross. The secret behind leading 1 million creatures to find the rain lies in their extraordinary sense of smell. A wildebeest can detect moisture in the air and the scent of damp earth from 50 kilometers away. This primitive navigation system is more precise than any man-made device, turning them into true storm chasers on the plains. Amidst the swirling dust, the constant calls serve as an invisible thread of connection. This is why they are also called the gnu. This continuous vocalization ensures no individual strays within the massive sea of life, keeping them all on the same page where visibility is often hampered by sand and heat. Their survival rests on a specialized physical design. Slender yet durable legs allow them to cover vast distances with minimal energy use. A newborn needs only 7 minutes after arrival to find its stride and match the pace of the adults. In this setting, a delay means the journey reaches a premature end. When facing the Mara River and its resident Nile crocodiles, collective intelligence replaces individual commands. There is no single leader who actually gives the order to cross. The decision to enter the challenging waters is the result of mounting pressure once their numbers at the bank reach a tipping point. Those at the water's edge are moved forward by the weight of the thousands behind them, creating a powerful and irreversible domino effect. Their role extends far beyond being mere travelers. Wildebeests consume about 4,000 tons of grass each day, acting as strategic mowers for the African landscape. This grazing stimulates the grass to return faster, softer, and richer in protein for other grazers, helping everyone get a leg up in the competition for resources. They are also mobile fertilization plants, spreading tons of nutrients to restore the soil's vitality and prevent land degradation. By clearing away dry brush, they naturally manage fires and protect the ecosystem from intense wildfires. Their contribution is the lifeblood of the African plains. They serve as a vital resource for prides of lions, leopards, and hyenas. Without this abundant energy source, these night hunters would find it difficult to sustain their legacy. Even the vulture flocks rely entirely on those who do not complete the journey to fulfill their role in keeping the environment tidy. However, to lead this massive energy through the savanna's maze, these simpletons require a guide with a superior memory. The black and white striped companions are waiting up ahead, ready to serve as the living compass for the great journey. If the wildebeest herd is the roaring engine of the Great Migration, the zebra is the navigational brain and the most valiant vanguard. Roughly 300,000 zebras participating in this trek are not merely tagging along. They hold the keys to survival that the wildebeests completely lack. This partnership begins with a silent agreement within their digestive systems. While wildebeests are ruminants requiring tender grass, zebras are hindgut fermenters. This design allows zebras to process the oldest, driest, and toughest stalks that other species often pass by. They act like industrial mowers, clearing the coarse surface layer to reveal the fresh green core beneath for the wildebeest herds. A perfect division of resources helps both coexist on parched land. However, the zebra's true contribution lies in its superior visual navigation. Unlike their companions who keep their noses to the ground searching for rain, zebras possess a topographic map in their visual memory. They recall the exact locations of reliable waterholes from years past, even when the sky shows no sign of a storm. With eyes positioned on the sides of their heads and exceptional night vision, they establish a 360-degree lookout system for the entire migrating group. Any slight movement in the thickets is detected instantly. When those black and white stripes begin to pick up speed, it serves as a silent command to the thousands of wildebeests behind that unwanted company is approaching. The zebra's resolve is most evident at the Mara River crossings, teeming with Nile crocodiles. Wildebeests might stand frozen for hours in hesitation, but zebras are often the ones to break the stalemate. With a cautious yet decisive nature, they are frequently the first to brave the water and clear the way. Those stripes charging through the turbulent currents act as a powerful psychological cue, triggering a domino effect that encourages the masses behind to follow suit. This boldness isn't reckless. It's the calculated move of a species that is always ahead of the pack. Once these striped warriors are settled on the fresh green banks, they leave the stage to the opportunistic hunters waiting for the remains. But before the shadows of the meat-eaters emerge, a smaller antelope species quietly makes use of the final green patches left behind by the massive migrating herd. The Thompson's gazelle is stepping in, bringing a more delicate rhythm of survival amidst the grandeur of the great trek. Thompson's gazelles steer clear of the crowds of zebras or wildebeests. They are the final ones to arrive, a choice that is quite a clever feeding strategy. While zebras handle the coarse stalks and wildebeests take the mid-level greens, they leave behind the short grass near the soil. Often called the microgreens of the savanna. This protein-rich specialty is exactly what the Thompson's gazelle prefers. They make the most of the nutrient-dense resources that the larger species unintentionally overlooked. To thrive as smaller residents, these antelopes have evolved into high-speed marathon runners. While wildebeests rely on strength in numbers, the Thompson's gazelle wagers its well-being on agility and sharp turns at 90 kilometers per hour. When facing a swift seeker like the cheetah, they perform a psychological display called stotting, springing high into the air with all four legs. This isn't out of concern, but a witty message to the seeker. Look, I'm in the pink, so don't bother with the effort. Their caution reaches its peak when facing the challenges of the Mara River. Unlike the impulsive rush of the larger herds, the Thompson's gazelles are the most selective and patient. With such a delicate frame, a strong current or an accidental bump from a wildebeest could lead to a permanent departure. They typically wait for the commotion to settle once the Nile crocodiles are satisfied or occupied by larger subjects. They seek out shallow, calm stretches of the water to ensure they remain safe and sound. Interestingly, aerial views show many of these groups are willing to bypass the crossing if the grazing in the Serengeti remains plentiful. They are expert risk managers, placing their security ahead of following the masses. As these small foragers finish their feast, the silhouette of another guardian appears atop the termite mounds. The topi is patiently biding its time for a turn. While the wildebeest herds pour their strength into a taxing journey of 10,000 miles, the topi display a practical and sharp philosophy for getting by. They are semi-migratory residents, often staying put in the Masai Mara territory year-round, rather than making the draining cycles across the border. As of the year 2026, field records show many local topi groups only travel locally between the plains and the high hills to seek out the fresh shoots appearing after the rains. They hold the moisture map of the reserve, using their deep knowledge of the terrain to stay in peak condition without expending too much energy on the move. When the wave of wildebeests flows in, the topi quickly implement a clever strategy for some added security. They blend into the massive crowd to lean on the safety of numbers, making it harder for seekers like lions or hyenas to narrow their focus. Furthermore, this is a feast laid out in advance. The zebra and wildebeest herds have served as dedicated groundskeepers, clearing away the tough old stalks to reveal the succulent young grass beneath. Standing tall on strategic mounds, the dominant males serve as long-range lookouts for the entire plain. However, this tranquility is but a brief pause in the symphony of life. As the pressure from the crowd pushes the migratory flow toward the lower reaches, the true testing grounds begin to emerge within the Mara River. There, prehistoric seekers with steel-like scales are patiently waiting in the wings, ready to turn this grand journey into a fierce and intense encounter beneath the murky waters. Beneath the murky waters of the Mara River, an ancient squad of prehistoric hunters silently sets the stage. This is the domain of the Nile crocodile, giants that can reach lengths of over 5 meters and weigh nearly 1 metric ton. Many seasoned veterans here have lived for as long as 60 years. They have observed the Great Migration since a time before humans possessed modern lenses to record the event. These elderly hunters know every bend and every ideal crossing point by heart, where the wildebeest herds will eventually have to pass. The true secret behind this dominance lies in a chilling level of patience. Nile crocodiles are masters of energy conservation. They can go without food for up to 1 year and still thrive due to an incredibly low metabolic rate. They spend most of their time basking on sand banks, absorbing heat and waiting for the only all-you-can-eat season of the year. When millions of animals descend into the river, one giant can consume an amount of meat equal to 20% of its body weight in a single sitting. The fat stored from these grand feasts is the lifeline that sustains them until the next migration season arrives. Since they cannot chew, these reptiles employ a famous processing technique known as the spiral surge. Once they have secured a firm grip on their prize, they rotate their entire bodies at an immense speed beneath the surface. The centrifugal force and torque are so powerful that they can separate joints and tissues in the blink of an eye. Entering the year 2026, the water levels of the Mara River have become more unpredictable than ever due to shifting currents from upstream. When the water is deep and fast-moving, this becomes the land of plenty for the crocodiles. Wildebeests, swept away by the current, become a meal served on a silver platter, requiring the crocodiles to hardly break a sweat to claim them. Though they do not truly hunt in groups, dismantling a large prize like a zebra requires pulling forces from multiple directions. Here, opportunistic cooperation arises. They are willing to share the bounty to take advantage of the rotational force provided by their neighbors. After the meal, their stomachs, which possess the highest acid concentration in the animal kingdom, process whatever remains. From bones and horns to the hardest hoof fragments, everything is completely dissolved. After every migration season, the riverbed is left spotless thanks to the thorough cleanup efforts of this reptilian army. However, on the shallows and along the banks, another curious figure waits quietly to tidy up the final scraps that even the crocodiles overlook. That would be the marabou stork, the street sweeper of the savanna. When the vivid feast of the heavyweight hunters concludes, the dark butler of the savanna truly begins his work. The marabou stork, also known as the undertaker bird, appears like an old man in a classic tuxedo strolling through the remains of life. Do not let this hunched posture and somewhat elegant attire pull the wool over your eyes. This is one of the largest birds in the world, with a wingspan that can reach 2.9 meters, rivaling the mightiest representatives of the African skies. Standing tall at a height of 1.5 meters, they tower over the scene, completely dominating the vultures bustling about. That featherless head and neck are a masterpiece of practical evolution. Much like a surgeon, the lack of feathers allows them to comfortably reach deep into the remains without worrying about fluids or bacteria sticking around, making the cleanup after each shift much easier. The vibrant pink air sac beneath the neck is not for storing food, but rather a sophisticated temperature regulation device and a tool for producing strange calls to attract a mate. Their most impressive feature is a long, hard and sharp beak shaped like a chisel, which can pierce the toughest wildebeest hide with ease. In the survival cycle of the Great Migration, the marabou stork serves as the final logistical anchor. They consume everything from aged meat and fallen fish to the scraps that even hyena packs overlook. These are mobile biological incinerators, a team of unsung heroes who help clear health risks like anthrax or plague from the grasslands, ensuring the safety of the entire ecosystem before a new cycle begins. At Masai Mara in 2026, ornithologists have noted the incredible intelligence of these birds as they begin to shift their traditional habits. They do not just wait patiently by the riverbank, they also gather at waste sites near human camps or follow wildfires to catch insects fleeing the flames. With the personality of a neighborhood bully, they frequently shoo away vultures or stand beside the crocodiles to snatch bits of meat flung from the spiral surge. Though often regarded as the least attractive bird on the continent, without them, the savanna would be overcome by strong odors and serious illnesses. However, the appearance of the marabou stork carries a meaning much deeper than a free meal. When those pink air sacs expand and their eyes turn toward the horizon, they are sensing a change. Alongside other migratory birds at the Masai Mara, they are quietly forecasting the conclusion of the dry season. An invisible signal is spreading through the clouds, marking the return of the rain showers, the ultimate source of life that will drive the Great Migration to continue its epic journey across the final wild lands on Earth. Serengeti. A kingdom where shadows pursue and the sun challenges every living soul. But look higher. Above the dust and essence of the plains, another dynasty reigns supreme. This is the Empire of Wings, where these masters of the air call the shots. Within the Mara River basin and the inhospitable alkaline lakes, every drop of water is a promise, yet also a clever ruse. African fish eagle. An emperor dressed in a uniform of sharp contrast between the snowy white of the head and neck and the deep chocolate of his body. He does not merely observe, he is presiding over a court upon the water. His piercing call, cutting through the air, is the voice of Africa, a firm declaration of sovereignty echoing throughout the valleys. Yet he possesses more than just a voice. He is a precision instrument. From a strategic high point on the branches near the water, he marks a target, a silver flash beneath the waves. He launches. Gravity becomes an ally. With a plunge at a lightning-fast speed, he thrusts his talons forward like steel pincers. Biological sophistication meets the raw intensity of instinct. Beneath his feet are spicules, small, sharp, and sturdy spikes. They are the iron cuffs of the sky, designed to ensure that once the talons have locked, no slippery fish has a chance to slip away. Fish, water birds, or turtles all fall under his jurisdiction. In the Mara, the African fish eagle does not just hunt. He is reclaiming what belongs to his empire. Life in the water always carries a price, and this king is the ultimate debt collector who clearly rules the roost. The head and neck are bare, a hauntingly vivid pink without a single feather for cover. The sagging folds of skin, the lappets, turn it into a figure wearing a mask of age and ancient authority. But what truly establishes order at the Feast of the Remains is the massive beak, thick, sturdy, and sharp as a blade. In the kingdom of incomplete passings, the lappet-faced vulture is the only one holding the privilege of opening the way. While smaller scavengers stand by in helpless hesitation before the tough hide of an African buffalo or elephant, this figure steps forward. It asks for no permission. It claims its place, proving that the buck stops here. That powerful beak carves through the sturdiest fortresses of bone and flesh, stripping away stubborn tendons with calculated resolve. It is the absolute ruler of the remains. A single massive dark shadow swooping down is enough to bring an end to all chaos. Lesser foragers must draw back, making room for the king of finality. Even so, this is not merely a feast upon the fallen. This is a stern ritual of purification. By consuming what is left behind, the lappet-faced vulture sweeps away the seeds of illness, preventing a chain reaction of decline across the Serengeti. A specialist carrying the mission of a savior, ensuring that the departures of today do not become the calamities of tomorrow. Life continues simply because it has cleared the path by finishing what was left behind. In the kingdom of the Masai Mara, life isn't just lived on the parched earth. It's guided by invisible cues from above. Great herds of wildebeest might have a sharp nose for water, but they are never alone in their search for sustenance. High above, birds operate as nature's most elite meteorologists. They possess senses far beyond human understanding, allowing them to read weather scripts before the first dark clouds appear on the horizon. In the world of wings, every vibration in the air carries a secret code of the grassland's renewal. One of the most supernatural abilities is the perception of infrasound. Large storms or heavy rains, hundreds of kilometers away, often generate low-frequency sound waves, falling outside the range of human hearing. Birds like swifts and storks possess a sophisticated receiving system right within their skulls. They hear the rolling thunder and the heavy fall of rain, while these are still merely ghosts on the other side of the continent. When these flocks begin to gather and move in a single direction, it serves as a confirmation that life-giving resources are waiting there. The scientific depth of this gift lies in a special part of the bird's ear called the vitale organ. This is a biological barometer incredibly sensitive to atmospheric pressure. It took millions of years of evolution for these small beings to sense the slightest drop in pressure before a cold front arrives. When the pressure dips, birds immediately adjust their behavior by flying lower or seeking a new sanctuary. These changes do not escape the eyes of the antelope herds below. The movement of the sky acts as a compass for the weary feet on the ground. Among the prophets, the Abdim's stork holds the most venerable position, known as the rainbird. The appearance of tens of thousands of Abdim storks in the Masai Mara is a sure promise that showers will arrive within 24 to 48 hours. These storks travel on warm air currents that lead the rain fronts. They aren't just searching for food. They are riding the heat waves that signal an end to the dry spell. As their wings fold onto the acacia branches, the herds understand that green grass is about to return to the plains. The song of the red-chested cuckoo also serves as a wake-up symphony for the entire grassland. Local people call their distinctive cry Piet mi vru. This bird begins to sing loudly and continuously as soon as the moisture in the air rises, often several days before the first rains fall. This isn't a random song, but a biological response to the changes in humidity and the electrical charge in the air. This call spreads through the thickets, stirring the migratory instincts of millions. The link between birds and wildebeest is a wonder of shared information. Wildebeest may not possess superior intellect, but they are master observers who know the ropes. If large birds like eagles or storks fly in unison toward one direction, the antelope tend to follow, as that usually leads to underground water or freshly sprouted grass. Their high-altitude vision allows birds to see the greening on the distant horizon where a local shower has just passed, creating flight paths that guide the herds below. Conversely, If the sky suddenly goes silent and birds seek deep shelter, the herds know a major storm is approaching and they must prepare for a new trial of survival. Scientists have deepened our understanding of this relationship through data from Global Positioning System and Global System for Mobile Communications collars on migratory birds. These devices show a perfect correlation between bird flight paths and the river crossing schedules of the wildebeest. Birds are always ahead of the curve regarding the weather, and humans now use these very meteorologists to accurately predict when the surge of migration will reach the Mara River. At the threshold of a changing season, when the Serengeti heat becomes a severe trial and the savanna holds its breath in anticipation, the oldest guardians begin to emerge. Not from the clouds, but from the very dust of the earth. Giants cloaked in solid black, striding like prehistoric shadows. Look at that face, a mask of vivid red skin, haunting and commanding. On the females, a blue patch at the throat appears as a badge of rank, and those long, unusually thick eyelashes provide a gaze that is hauntingly human, the eyes of a witness who has observed the sternness of the plains throughout 70 years of life. Southern Ground Hornbill, a true family regiment moving in a disciplined phalanx formation. With an exceptionally strong beak, carrying the force of armored pincers, they hold authority over every creature below. From large insects and armored tortoises to venomous snakes or hares, nothing can slip away from this absolute search. But their true power lies in a mystical connection to the sky. They are called the thunderbird. When atmospheric pressure begins to shift and moisture-heavy clouds are still forming on the distant horizon, the southern ground hornbill already hears the whispers of the storm, knowing relief is on the horizon. Their low, resonant calls, like marching drums, can pierce through the savanna mist for 5 kilometers. This is not just a call to their kind. It is a symphony of renewal. In this kingdom, they are the sages possessing decades of memory, maintaining their dynasty through cooperative breeding, where the entire clan protects a single bloodline. When the foe thunder from their throats echoes with energy, the entire savanna knows the reign of the dry spell is nearing its end. The heralds of the rain have spoken, and the destiny of the Serengeti is about to be rewritten with water. As the drum beats of the thunderbird slowly fade into the distance, another aristocratic figure appears through the misty haze of the wetlands. A symbol of elegance in a land of intense competition. The gray-crowned crane. It does not walk like a seeker. It moves with the poise of a monarch on a royal tour. It is dressed to the nines in calm ash-grey formal attire with pure white wings, but true royalty sits atop its head. A crown of golden bristles shining under the scorching sun. crimson and white patches on its cheeks and the vivid, inflatable throat pouch are marks of a noble lineage, a haughty beauty that withstands the stern nature of the Serengeti. Each of its steps is a firm command upon the earth. Using a calculated and forceful stomping technique, it sends vibrations through the dry grass. This rhythmic disturbance causes insects to leave their cover, only to be reached by the sharp beak of the ruler. Grains or small reptiles, nothing can refuse the appetite of this sovereign. Evolution has granted it a privilege that its cousins in the crane family never attained. With unusually long hind toes, it is the only one capable of perching firmly on high branches, observing the world from a superior vantage point. It finds complete safety from the risks waiting below. Yet, the most sacred role of the gray-crowned crane is the prophet of the dance. As moisture begins to fill the atmosphere, the ritual commences. Reverent bows and spontaneous high leaps. These are no random games. This is the secret code of renewal, a dance marking the divine moment when the rains begin to fall, signaling the ideal time to build new homes. When that golden crown bobs amidst the savanna, the entire kingdom knows that life is about to be refreshed. A ritual of hope, a promise of continuity performed by the sky's only aristocratic dancer. But amidst the stifling heat of the parched lands, as the cracked earth awaits salvation, a blood-colored dagger begins to flicker behind the thorn bushes. The red-billed hornbill, a creature of modest size but possessing the will of a resilient warrior. Look at the long, curved beak, as bright red as if dipped in flame. A perfect tool for unearthing the secrets of the dark soil. It does not fly in dull, straight lines. It moves in a signature undulating rhythm, swaying like the very breath of the savanna as it waits for the rains. On the ground, it is a dedicated mercenary. Keen eyes scan every centimeter of dust to seek out termites, ants, or stubborn beetles. When protein sources become scarce, it accepts gifts from the flora, scavenging seeds and fruit to sustain itself. But the red-billed hornbill's dynasty is not built through hunts, but through a ritual of profound sacrifice. When the first seasonal raindrops fall, softening the parched crust of the Serengeti, a decree of instinct is issued. This is the moment for voluntary confinement. The female withdraws deep into a tree hollow, surrendering the vast sky to become a prisoner of the future. Using mud, soil, and waste, she constructs a sturdy wall of isolation, sealing the entrance and leaving only a narrow slit, just wide enough to communicate with the outside world. A fortress, a prison, a profound effort to shield the bloodline from the reach of those who track them. Now, the fate of an entire generation rests in the hands of the one who remains. The male becomes the sole lifeline, prepared to go the extra mile by tirelessly transporting food through the tiny opening until the chicks are strong. Within the darkness of the hollow, the mother waits, shedding her old feathers to prepare for a rebirth. A steep price for safety, a dynasty nurtured in seclusion until the mud barrier falls and a new generation is ready to conquer the sky. In the furnace of the open plains, where sunlight erases every shadow and heat stifles the pulse of life, a phantom of the dust arises. Yellow-throated sand grouse. It wears a uniform of invisibility, a perfect blend of sand and gravel, making it a ghost within the parched savanna. The male, with a vibrant yellow throat and a bold black band across its chest, strides like a guardian of the arid lands. Yet beneath its quiet exterior lies a mission of survival that is as demanding as it gets. When the waterholes evaporate and a perilous trial begins to claim the next generation, the yellow-throated sandgrouse becomes a mobile canteen of destiny. This is a marvel of biological engineering. The father's breast feathers are structured like an organic sponge, capable of absorbing and securing precious droplets amidst the scorching heat. It takes flight, a solitary journey through searing air currents to reach distant water sources. There, it dips into the water, filling its reserves for the demanding journey home. Back at the nest, the chicks are exhausted by their thirst for life. In a touching ritual of survival, they surround their father, drawing every life-saving drop from the soaked feathers. It is a silent sacrifice, a bridge of water built in the heart of the drought. But the yellow-throated sandgrouse is more than a devoted father. It is a prophet. When the vast flocks begin to shift their flight paths, the entire Serengeti holds its breath. Their movement serves as a map to moisture, a signal that the rain-bearing currents are beginning to stir. Following the sandgrouse means following the first seasonal rains. These heralds of the dust are leading the way for the renewal of an entire kingdom, proving they truly know their stuff. And as the prophecies from the sandgrouse fade, an entity carrying the beauty of ancient myths emerges, marking the intersection of earth and sky. The Hippo, the one wearing the crest of throneless sovereigns. A vibrant, pinkish-tan, fan-shaped crown tipped with black, which can spread with pride or fold back like a scepter of power. Its body bears a stoic pink-brown hue, contrasting sharply with wings and a tail patterned in black and white stripes like a zebra. A perfect formal attire for the final messenger of the dry season. It does not seek its sustenance through force. It works with the refinement of a skilled surgeon, and its timing is on the money. A long, slender beak, as sharp as steel forceps, constantly probes deep into the cracked soil of the Serengeti. It doesn't just search for protein, it investigates every crevice of dry grass roots to pull out those in hiding, larvae, crickets, or the most stubborn insects. No secret beneath the earth can evade its questioning. Yet within the kingdom of wings, the hoopoe holds a sacred position because of its voice. A rhythmic melodic call resonates, piercing through the mist of the changing seasons. To the ancient tribes around the Serengeti, this is no random sound. It is a hallowed summons, a petition sent to the moisture-laden clouds, urging them to pour down life and wash away the dust. When the song of the hoopoe takes over the air, the savanna knows the reign of thirst is about to conclude. Still, dignity does not equate to vulnerability. In this demanding world, life must always be shielded at a steep price. To counter shadows like snakes or mongooses, the mother bird has developed a formidable chemical defense. A pungent, potent secretion is released, forming a barrier of scent to surround the nest, a firm deterrent to ensure the future remains intact. Sharp, sacred, and resolute, the hoopoe stands there at the threshold of dust and rain, a final messenger confirming that the pulse of the kingdom is about to return. As the initial raindrops descend, the symphony of wings at the Serengeti finds its crowning glory, a perfect conclusion to a season of proud endurance. We have just explored together the rawest glimpses into the relentless cycle of life and the delicate balance within the savanna kingdom. Which creature in today's journey caused you to look at the natural world through a different lens? Was it the steady, focused patience of the savanna's determined seekers, or the brilliant forecasting wisdom of the wings high above? Please share your thoughts in the comments section. Your appreciation serves as a tribute to these magnificent wild beings. Be sure to like and subscribe to stay the course with me on our next field expeditions, where we will continue to decipher the most mysterious codes of survival.
We have just moved through some of the rawest scenes the savanna has to offer. Which animal in today's episode changed the way you see the wild? Was it the male lion coalition at the water, or the defensive line held mid-river in the Luangwa? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Your understanding is the real tribute to these animals. Do not forget to like and subscribe so you can join me on the next field trips where we keep decoding the most hidden survival rules of the wild. And if you want to explore more wildlife, continue with Win or Die, full episode Deadliest Battles for Survival, or Lion Attack, the Mapogo Battle for Survival.